Isaiah, when you guys are talking about improving the offense, do you guys ever watch what you guys did against Villanova, North Carolina, Purdue, and say, this is the peak, this is what we can get to?
Shoot, after the games we have, but we've been so busy in our season, we don't ever get time to go back and watch clips. But individually, yes, I went back and watched those games and just watched how everybody, ball was moving, ball was going in. It's just good to see clips like that.
You were hinting at it a little bit, but how do you guys get back to that level of play offense?
It starts with your mindset. We got to go back to that mindset we have. For our first road game at Villanova, we were like, a lot of us were thinking, I don't want to say the word revenge, but we were thinking like, this is our time to shine. We gotta show the world what we can do. So we got to get back to that attitude.
Last home game of the year tomorrow. Is it going to be a little bittersweet in some ways?
Oh, you said is it? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes, it definitely will be. It's going to be my last home game as a sophomore, so that's kind of interesting for me. I remember last year, I don't remember our last home game as a freshman. I just remember seeing Duncan, Muhammad, Jerron, all guys like that. Just, I think I seen Duncan tear up. I might have seen him tear up. But it was just it's going to be bittersweet for sure, though.
Is Charles going to tear up?
I'm gonna make him tear up. I'm gonna try looking at him like, oh, Charles, your last home game, buddy. How do you feel about this? He probably won't buzz. He has that poker face where he just has the same look every time.
Speaking of Duncan, how about him getting an NBA start?
I seen that. I didn't get a chance to text him. Busy with class and stuff. But I'm watching from the shadows, and I was so proud of him.
The coach said after the MSU game that you get stressed that you guys don't build your season around beating them. But was this maybe a tougher bounce back than the other losses you've had so far?
For sure. Obviously, it's going to be like that because it's an in-state game, and just we weren't thinking about the game all season. We didn't have it marked in our calendar, but it's good to have those bragging rights, beating your in-state team at home, and now we just got to go to their spot and come out with a W.
Last year you guys really mid-February took a big step forward. Just remembering back, do you remember what the biggest factor was in the team making that big step in mid-February?
Everybody put their side agendas aside and played Michigan basketball. I think that was the biggest step we made going in from this late February into that March when we got hot. Everybody stopped thinking about after the season. Everybody was thinking about we're here now. We're not going to think about the future. So.
Do you think that needs to happen again this year? Or is there anything?
From what I know, I don't. Everybody on the team is here for Michigan basketball, and I really hope they're here after we just lost to Michigan State. So I really hope there isn't any side agendas. From what I seen yesterday's practice, everybody seems to be focused on this next game. So it's great.
Isaiah, speaking of Duncan, I was talking to him earlier. He said that you still keep in touch fairly recently. Yeah. So how is that relationship now that he's graduated?
It is, and it's like a big brother to a little brother. I learned so much from him. Him putting his pride aside and coming off the bench last year and winning Sixth Man of the Year is just huge. It just shows his character and how most guys would fit. Freshman took my spot, but it was more of freshman's gonna help me be a better player, and I thought about that when he told me that, and every time now I'm thinking about that right now because it kind of happened to me. So I just always model what I'm doing right now after Duncan. So
what's the biggest change you've seen in Xavier this year?
I mean, we all knew he was an animal last year, but he's a beast this year. He's doing everything. He's finally knocking them shots down that he worked on all off season. He's finding guys, dribbling to the basket. He's just making the right play every time he touches the ball, and can't forget about his defense.
Is he always as fierce as he projects when he comes in this room?
Oh, yes. Yeah, how he is when he walks around is how he is on the court. He's straight up, all about business.
Isaiah, Jim Harbaugh said on his podcast yesterday that if you were ever interested in playing football, that he would love to have you on the team. What's your reaction when you hear that?
When I seen that, I said it to my dad. He said, "I told you so." Because I used to play football back in like high school, freshman year. My dad made me put it down because I was getting too tall. So he said, "Watch, Michigan might have to need a tight end, or receiver, anybody, or a quarterback to come and just throw the ball along." And my dad just likes to joke about that kind of stuff. So I kind of wasn't surprised because I have a couple football friends on the team. They always joke about that.
Is there that's something that you would ever be open to?
Always. I'm always open to play any sport, but right now it's basketball.
I know it's always important to